Deep sea in the grays, our creek balance. Thoughts split the sea, no extreme. In a world of black and white, we seek the blend. Understand both sides, let the truth transcend. Stay in the gray where perspectives intertwine. We seek the truth in the gray we define. In this podcast journey, minds open wide. Shades the truth on this impartial ride. A long time ago we started stumbling. Feels like this country's crumbling. The government is fumbling. A Congress that is bumbling. Both sides are always arguing. They all could use some humbling. And stop the war from tumbling. Rebuild the trust that's plummeting. If ideas would start bubbling, our efforts could be doubling. And chaos would start slumbering. And people resume huddling. And talk about the trouble and concerns we're always juggling. Cooperate while snuggling. And quit the useless struggling.
Back-to-back shows I went to early, I think. I came too fast.
Yeah, I've heard that happens with you. Look, I was trying to do the rhythm on my mic, and then my whole thing like fell apart.
I never come too fast. I come right when I plan on coming.
It's not too fast for you.
No.
How are you, my man?
I'm a little under the weather, but we'll get past it.
Well, I knew you didn't feel great, but under the weather.
Under the weather. Like I've got some pressure things going on.
Is it that nose? You got
Move on.
pressure in the nose area?
There's a lot of pressure going on in this nose.
Well, I'm glad you're here. If anybody doubts the dedication to the show by Trey, he is here and ready to roll. We have so much to get to tonight. We had so much fun with Liv on the last show. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're having her back because holy shit, right, Trey?
Right.
That's all I have to say. Holy shit.
Well, apparently we didn't get to a few of the parts of the story.
She told me some stuff after, and I was like, whoa, Jesus.
Son of a bitch.
Go back and listen. It only gets crazier. So I wish her the best. But my goodness, go check it out. She has had quite the life, and it keeps going. I'm going to give you a quick little scientific note here. To open the show. Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah. It's you'll get it. It's just something I read and I was like, what if that happened? And it won't, but did you know that if the Earth suddenly stopped rotating, you know how we rotate, Trey?
Yeah.
On our orbit, right? On an axis of some sort.
Axis.
If the Earth suddenly stopped, it just stopped.
Okay.
We would fly east. So we get over to New York real fast. Like what?
Like literally fly?
Yeah, we would fly east. Just our bodies would fly at 465 meters per second. I'm sorry, I ruined that. Per second, which is 0.3 miles.
So basically we're dead.
Per second. And you would die instantly.
Yeah. That's
what it says.
So it wouldn't be funny to act like we're running.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, cool, we get over to England quicker.
Nope.
Just the Earth's rotating. I didn't realize it was rotating that fast in the big scheme of things.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So that was my fun fact. I mean, I don't know how fun it was.
It was interesting.
But it was interesting.
It scared the shit out of me. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight, but
yeah, that the Earth may stop. I'm going to give you a couple quick butthurt comments.
Will it help that I'm in my bedroom, or will I go so fast I go through a wall?
It's true. Will the wall hold you up just enough
to stay there until somehow we stop?
I don't think so. I think it would make you die quicker.
Slam into the wall.
Yes,
at
465 meters per second. The butthurt comments. This is simple. As we're going to talk about, as you can see on my screensaver, we talked about it for about 2 minutes. Last show with Liv. Biden is out. Kamala is in. It's just a whole different shit show now. It's before there was a certain narrative for both sides, and now there's a certain narrative for both sides in a different way. And so I'm getting all these butthurt, Kamala people that are just all excited. There's this energy, this renewed energy about Kamala. And this guy, by the way, has Minnesota Vikings logo, so he sucks.
Loses credibility right there.
Yeah. He said Trump will be eviscerated by comma. Apparently he's on a fun name basis with her, a comma. He just said comma. Be eviscerated by comma in a debate. Wait till Taylor Swift and Beyonce get involved. Then it's all over for dipshit Trump and his inbred supporters. All right, look, I know you and I know me. I'm not inbred. I'm not MAGA. I'm not whatever. I'm voting for him, like I've said, for different reasons. Then he kept going. We talked, and again, we've talked about my inability to just stop.
Right.
I have to keep going. He said, "You uneducated," which is, I hate when people say that. You don't have a fucking master's degree. MAGA losers are now petrified at the thought of dipshit Trump having to debate a foreign prosecutor. Well, the reason I chose these butthurt comments was because we're about to get into that in a bit.
Damn it. Okay.
I know you're excited because her reputation as a prosecutor isn't the best. Her reputation as a VP isn't the best, and we'll talk about it. I mean, so I wanted to lead you in with those butthurt comments.
A little teaser.
It just, to me, what bothers me is this whole idea that calling people. I mean, what are you doing? You didn't give me anything. You basically called me names and said I was a MAGA occultist and uneducated and were inbred, apparently. I
don't understand how you knew.
I mean, how do you know? But
it's pretty good.
This guy's a dumbass, and fuck the Vikings. It's almost football season. That's exciting.
Yes, it is.
So let's go to news tonight, right?
Let's do it. Where you got that, but that's pretty funny.
I love it. It's our first time. If this is your first show, you got to witness the first time I actually had a news sound effect. Yeah. I like it.
Sounds pretty official.
Look, I went through like 60 of them, and I like this one the best. So
then we'll keep it since you went through that damn many of
them. Let's talk about a woman who was having some issues. And I'm not going to compare her to our last guest because that would just be mean. This woman here, her name was Kaylee. She was in the middle of drug addiction, mental breakdown, going through a tough breakup. No one's ever dealt with a tough breakup or drugs. She said the following. I thought... Well, let me just tell you the headline. She ripped her own eyes out.
Holy shit.
To, quote, save the world. And now she's transformed her life into living with blindness.
Damn.
What she claims is that there was a moment. She said her memories of that day are fuzzy because she was hallucinating.
Holy shit.
And she said she said she had to sacrifice something important for the world, and that was me. So, she was also diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She said, I thought everybody would die abruptly if I didn't tear my eyes out.
Well, tell her thank you for her services.
Yeah, right? We're here. She pushed her thumb, pointer, and middle finger into each eye. Yeah, if you get are grossed out easily, fast forward to the next segment. I have timestamps on all of our programming. She says, I ripped each eyeball, twisted and pulled until each eye popped out of the socket. It felt like a massive struggle, the hardest thing I ever had to do. Because I could no longer see, I didn't know if there was blood, but I knew the drugs that I was on were numbing the pain. This was outside of a church in her hometown in South Carolina. And only stopped when she heard a pastor come out of the church yelling,
"What the fuck?"
And she was yelling, "I want to see the light." And he ran to restrain her. And Kaylee added later, he said when he found me that I was holding my eyeballs in my hand.
God damn.
I had squished them, although they were somehow still attached to my head.
Holy shit.
Isn't this just... Anyway. So she was rushed to a hospital, and doctors gave her the news that she would be blind. Those are the parts of these stories I love the best. I'm like, okay. But basically, the point is that now she's, oddly enough, living better. She has a boyfriend. She has a job. She has all these things. She's learning how to deal with the finer things in life without seeing them. She's listening to music. She's learning instruments. You know, fucking Beethoven was deaf. She's going to be blind. And that's good for her, but it's like, holy shit, dude. You ripped your eyeballs out. So anyway, that's story number one.
My turn. I came prepared this time.
All right. Ooh, I love it. All right.
So
we have lots of news tonight.
a woman was arrested.
Oh, that was good. So my
Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to make it sound cool. But anyway, no, a woman was arrested for a samurai sword attack.
was this in America?
This was in San Dimas, California.
I thought if it was Japan, okay, fine. But
Well, the names, Wai Chin Huang was booked on suspicion of murdering her wife. Yeah. Chin Chin Fei is the wife. And so, so Chin Chin Fei is no longer
Chin Chin Fei is no longer with us.
Yeah.
Oh, she didn't make it.
So Huang also tried to attack Fei's mom.
Okay.
And they didn't go into details, which this is kind of the part I would be interested in. The mom was able to get the samurai sword away from her. And the cops ended up finding her basically wandering down the street with a samurai sword with multiple cuts on her leg, trying to flag somebody down for help. And you see her putting the sword down when the cops finally show up.
Well, I was going to say, you can't really flag for help with a sword in your
With a samurai sword, yeah. I don't know if she thought Huang was going to follow her out and try to get the sword back. I don't know. But I guess, you take the sword with you at that point. So, yeah.
God, these stories, Trey. I can't get enough of this.
So, yeah.
That's what happened.
That's what happened, yeah.
Okay. Woman kills wife with
Samurai
sword. And mother-in-law? No.
Mother-in-law?
Mother-in-law gets sword away. I just visualize this like Kung Fu master old lady kick the sword out of her head.
Figure this out.
Yeah, how did she get it?
How was she able to get that sword?
After being sliced in the leg.
Yeah.
But,
So I guess Huang was not good with the sword.
we'll never know.
Never know.
We'll never know, people. But you know what? Maybe we should ban samurai swords. Enough with this AOR shit. Samurai swords are out. All right. Next. Okay, Trey and PETA and everybody that's listening to this show. The Orcas are back. Look, again, quick disclaimer. If you haven't listened to this show, I have given stories about how insane the Orcas have gone.
Yes.
They are insane. They are organized, they are smart, and they are coming for us. And here we go again.
Okay.
There was a little lull there for a while. I think they were plotting. There's a British sailor who lost his 100,000 pound boat, so 160, whatever. Who gives a shit? It's a decent boat, sailboat, nothing major, but still. 59 years old. His name was Robert Powell, but it was in the Mediterranean Sea, so it was inland. You know, these were all taking place in the Atlantic around Portugal and the whole Strait of Gibraltar that went.
I love how you're doing this. Like I understand what you're saying.
I hope it's the Strait of Gibraltar. I just sound like it. It's the fucking channel that goes from Spain into the Mediterranean. It's a little bitty thing.
Okay.
Strait of something.
Straight
of your mom, people. And so he was going from Portugal to Greece, which is across the Mediterranean.
It's a normal route, yeah.
Sure. Just go across the Mediterranean Ocean. Well, 5 orcas started circling the boat, and they were circling it. He said he felt like he was like wolves were circling him.
That's wild. 5 of them?
5. And then all of a sudden he thought, but right before that he thought he had hit like a rock or something,
right.
A big boulder that had gotten in the ocean somehow. It was floating. I don't know what you think you hit, but you never think it's this. And one went under and chewed off the rudder, which keeps your boat upright. And the others started ramming from all angles. So they weren't just like, it was like an organized thing. I mean, the one took this off and then they just started hitting from all angles to just sink this thing. And he said he tried various techniques to stop them. That was all it said. I want to know so badly what those techniques
are. Yeah.
Stop. And is he hitting him with the paddle or I don't know, throwing beer bottle at him?
Right. Or those flare guns. Shoot a flare gun.
There you go. Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
But he started to inflate life rafts, which to me kind of made it funnier because I'm going, all right, if your actual huge sailboat's being taken down by these things, sure, let's get in a raft. You'll be fine.
Right.
If they want you, they're going to take you.
I say that's more like a soft treat for him.
Yeah, I mean,
Little
this
cream
is like,
filled.
okay. They're just messing with him.
Right.
But the Spanish salvage vessel, there was one that was around that came and got him. And apparently I learned that it's law over there not to shoot orcas. You can't shoot them. What? And this guy was quoted as saying, it's only a matter of time until somebody starts shooting the orcas. The fight between man and beast is getting worse.
Why can't you shoot the orca? I guess not for
it's
just
illegal.
recreation,
Yeah,
but
well,
I mean, if you're trying to save your damn life.
I don't know, Trey. I'm just telling you what I learned, and because they're not fucking around, they're still there.
Shit.
I mean, it's just like the organization of them and their intelligence is what gets me. They don't mess around.
Impressive, yeah.
And they're experts, and all these people that are witnessed to. I mean, this guy witnessed it because he was there, but. I mean, one takes it off, the other's hit. I mean,
That is crazy.
like,
Yeah.
it's the same bitch. What was her name? Agnes or Ed, something.
Sure.
And she had all these calves, and then she trained them to take boats out. And now that this is the gang.
Oh.
Yeah, this
talking
is
about the initial.
Yeah, this is the gang she's taking them around the world.
Impressive.
In the same realm, real quick. This does not take long. It's just news, people. Sharks off of the coast of Brazil have tested positive for cocaine.
I heard this, yeah.
Sure.
It's one hell of a party.
Maybe this is why our sea animals have gone crazy. They're just on coke.
They're fucking high.
It was found in 13 sharp-nosed sharks, 100 times higher than the normal dosage that somebody would take.
Damn.
In a shark. I just see this shark swimming around.
Well, you have to assume they're just taking a big mouth of what they see and just
Exactly. Well, what
it
is they're assuming the drugs are dumped by smugglers,
Yeah.
by dealers, because they're finding cocaine on the coasts, washed up on even Florida, but down South America and all these. And so sharks are coked up, the orcas are striking, everybody's fucked up. Stay out of the water. Like, don't get in. Just sit on the beach and look out and go, that's pretty.
and keep your drugs on the fucking boat.
If you're going to get caught, just get caught. Anyway.
You and your sea life. All right, I've got another story.
Oh, you're done with my sea life.
This one kind of threw me off just because I grew up playing sports. I know you did too. But youth basketball player stomps on opponent's head
Oh, Jesus.
during
Seriously?
the basketball game.
These kids.
So these kids are 13 years old. And so basically during the game, one of the boys was battling for possession of the ball, fell to the ground with another boy. One of his teammates comes over and immediately stomps his head onto the court.
Yeah.
And the mom said...
Is that a flagrant?
Look, that might be a flagrant. And so the mom said it was so hard. Not one, he ended up with a concussion. Two, the imprint of the size of his shoe was on his face. That's how hard it was.
It's insane.
So the parents of the boy that stomped the kid,
Okay.
he claims he was just coming to self-defense of his teammate that was trying to fight for possession of the ball, because at some point or another during the game, that same kid that was fighting for possession of the ball supposedly was punched and kicked.
But nobody saw that.
Apparently not.
Well, I still think,
especially during a basketball
if
game,
you throw a punch, it's better than stomping on someone's head. But
Right.
yeah, how about none of that? How about you play the ball game?
13 years old.
13, and did the kid get 2 foul shots?
Didn't say. Coach basically came in, broke him up.
He had a concussion. He's like,
He wasn't able to. Yeah.
sorry. He's got the game winner on his fingertips. It's not quite. It's like halfway.
The fact that the imprint of the size of his shoe was on his face,
Oh,
that's
these kids.
terrible.
The kids these days, they have no discipline. They have no whatever.
crazy.
That's a whole other discussion. No dads in their lives. No this, no that, no whatever. And they just, there's no fear of anything.
Where do you see this at, you know? I
I
don't
don't
remember
know.
seeing stomping.
Look, you play a basketball video game. I don't see people stomping on people's
No.
heads, so it's not video games. I don't remember any basketball films that have people stomping on heads
At
unless
all.
it was a slapstick comedy of some sort.
The only stomp I saw was on, what was it, that Ed Norton movie, X, or
Yeah, American History X.
American History X.
That was not the stomp on a basketball court. That was a lot more serious of an issue. Anyway, so yeah, whatever happens to that kid, he deserves. I hope he gets an appropriate punishment for it.
It's suspended from the next game, at least.
Well, at least. Ejected from that game, and he'll be back.
Yeah,
right.
A fine or something.
Okay, here we go. How about this? This is funny. So the U.S. Customs and Border Protection people at the airports.
They are at the airports, right?
Yeah, airports. What do you call them? What do you normally
TSA?
TSA. They seized illegal drugs from a man in Seattle at an airport. He was 43 years old. He had ketamine, which I don't know, that's 12 pounds. Codeine, we all know what that is, 2 pounds. And gamma hydroxybutyrate.
Oh,
yeah.
That did not help my ED. But anyway.
It's called GHB. I prefer
GHB. Okay, I know what GHB is. I do know what that is.
So GHB is 3 ounces of that. So they caught him, didn't make it through. He was coming in.
You think?
Through customs from the Netherlands.
Okay.
Party in the Netherlands.
Right.
And
the Dutch.
He went to jail. He made bail. A couple days later, he gets caught at the same airport from the same TSA people. Literally, like 3 or 4 of the same TSA people were like,
"Really?
We recognize." And he had this time a half a pound of ketamine, and he was trying to go to London.
Man.
London. Damn. And Trey and I are not. It's here at Stay in the Great podcast. Not trying to help our drug criminals with their plans, but why would you not go to a different airport?
Right. Yeah, let's try a different way to get past that border.
So the headline's basic.
I bet he's wearing the same outfit and everything.
It says officers in Seattle Airport seized illegal drug user or transported twice in 1 week from the same travel.
In 1 week,
1 week. He, like I said, he made bail.
It's like
and then
not
he
even
went
a
right
month
back.
later.
Said, I forgot that part.
Holy shit.
Within a week. So that's why they're like,
really?
Like, are you okay? Yeah. So
that's pretty fun.
That's that one. The last one. This is fun, people. We're gonna have some fun with this one, and then we'll move on to our topics of the night. A couple of world records, Trey. There was a man, Chi Shang Kong.
Yeah.
That it was that pronunciation.
It sounded perfect.
Okay. Chiang
from East Texas, right?
Chiang, yeah, Tyler, Texas. Yeah. Ching King. Chi. Okay.
Are you stroking out over there?
Yeah. If I fall over, come get me. Okay. He set the world records of the most spins of a mobile phone on his finger in 1 minute.
Okay.
Like spinning it.
I'm sitting there trying to
spinning it. Just like a basketball spinning on your finger, except it's a mobile phone. 320 spins. First off, who's counting this shit? And how do you know if it's that fast? It said the phone dropped a few times, but Chen remained calm.
This is serious shit.
Yeah. So that was one. The second man tried to beat his own record of putting on 23 pairs of underwear.
Oh, okay.
He only got to 20 and couldn't get any more on.
Damn it. Slacker.
He lost. Lastly, a man breaks the twerking record, Trey.
Twerking record?
I know.
Oh,
he's from Nigeria.
Okay.
3 hours and 30 minutes straight of twerking.
3 hours and how long again?
30 minutes. 3.5 hours. How long could you go? Because you're a big twerker.
3 hours and 31 minutes.
You're ready. You are ready to challenge this Nigerian man to the twerking competition.
3.5 hours
straight.
God.
You heard it here first. Trey is now.
I don't know if my back can handle that. So I guess if you keep throwing 20s out there, I'll keep.
You're
working.
ready. Yeah. You got to pay Trey. You can't just. He's not going to just do it
for free. I don't want just the fame.
A minute and 45 seconds, and you're like, I'm not
gonna. It just look like I'm humping the air.
Yeah. How long was I?
Yeah.
A minute and
Who's
12.
counting this? I've been doing it for 30 seconds.
All right. That was news for tonight. Just for fun. I love it. I'm excited about having a news, whatever you want to call it, sound effect. Let's move on to what we have to talk about. Well, Trey will talk about under protest. Under protest. Kamala Harris is now the official, well, until the Democratic National Convention, she's not technically official, but she's...
I need to Google. I think there was a wrestler named Kamala.
She's really?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if she's done some of the things this Kamala's done. Is it she?
No, it was a he.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe something happened along the way.
Yeah.
But Kamala is now... She was Joe Biden's vice president. She's now gained enough delegates. So all of this Joe Biden downtrodden sadness about his first debate performance, about his obvious issues mentally, physically, all the things Trey and I made fun of, his pudding. I think that's why I'm most disappointed is because now I can't, it's like hashtag Biden means nothing to me anymore.
Yeah.
And that's sad. So Joe, honestly, in all seriousness, I didn't like your policy. I didn't like some of the things you did over the years, but you know, this is the time to go rest and enjoy the rest of your life.
Yeah, go retire.
And your wife should have got you out of there a lot earlier. Right, Trey?
Right.
So Kamala's in. Let me just start with about Kamala and saying that she was forced in, basically. Okay? If anybody believes... Now, tell me what you think about this. Joe Biden came out and said, I stepped down. I don't buy it. A week prior, he was pissed whenever so many people in the Democratic Party were turning on him. They were saying, Joe's got to get out. He was pissed. All of a sudden, he's like, for the good of everything in our country, I'm stepping down.
You don't think the COVID stuff?
I don't even know if I'm spitballing. I'm not saying. I think that. I don't think he volunteered. I think he wanted to really try. And I think that he was pressured because there were a lot of people. We even gave it. Remember, we even said on one of the shows, this many people and all the celebrities were going against him and people were telling him he needed to drop out. And so I think he did it. And so the issue that I have here is that all that Joe Biden and his team and now Kamala saved democracy, which to me is silly because Trump's not going to take your democracy, people. But you're talking about democracy. Well, Joe Biden was voted in the primaries with 14 million votes in the primaries because he's the incumbent president. And of course he got voted in. Kamala literally dropped out before she got a single vote. She was last out of all the Democratic candidates. She was last.
Really?
Yes. And she dropped out because there was no chance. She has been rated on vice president approval ratings, the worst rated vice president in the history of this country. But, Trey, she's a black woman. And by the way, half Indian as well, but everyone...
Is she?
No one wants to talk about... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No one wants to talk about the fact that she's half Indian and her dad was from Jamaica. So... Those are the things. Those are the reasons that I'm sitting here going, well, why is she all of a sudden? The deal is they lose their money.
I was about to say, isn't that the money have to do with it?
They lose their funding if they go with anybody else. But my God, she's definitely not. And that's my opinion, and I'm allowed to have it, people. So come at us and tell us why she's fine. We're going to get a little more into it. Do you have any initial thoughts on Kamala?
I actually had to Google
just some background. Who she was.
I Googled what makes her a good president, and they brought up her extensive legal and legislative experience.
Okay. Who? What is that a last name?
No. And so, talking about the experiences, given strong understanding of legal system and law enforcement is kind of what they bottom line on that one. Of course, diversity and representation.
Right.
A woman of African American and South Asian descent.
Right. I mean, would be like okay.
An advocacy for key issues like criminal justice reform, healthcare, immigration, and climate change. Advocating for policies aimed at addressing systematic inequalities and promoting social justice. bipartisan appeal. This was kind of interesting to me. I was curious about that. They said on here that she seems like she's able to navigate both sides to work towards bipartisan solutions. Is that not really the case, or does she have a history of that?
Again, people are going to say I'm just biased, and I am to a point, but I haven't even seen her in the last 3.5 years. I mean, she's been in the public how many times? I haven't seen her at all. What's she been doing? I was
curious. I haven't seen her out and about doing anything.
Well, the big issue now is that people are claiming that she was the czar of the border. That's what. Then some people are like, well, she wasn't technically, and she was this, and she was put in charge. And the idea or the claim is that she only went to the border one time.
Wow.
And she's in charge of it. Some people are like, she's in charge of helping to lower the amount of this. Not so it's semantics. People are like throwing details. The bottom line is your responsibility was the border. You went to El Paso, which is like the least cross spot, and didn't do shit. And people come at me and say, we know some people that work down there and that have served in another way of saying it down there. Uh-huh. And what she's saying is bullshit.
Well, the fact that she's younger, obviously, the fact that she supposedly has skills negotiating and I guess debating, you don't think that at least gives them a fighting chance to debate with Trump?
Well, I think it's better than Joe.
Some energy in the party?
I think there's energy in the party, and I think that's a great transition to part of what I want to talk about. I mean, the energy is there. You can see it. It's crazy. It's just like, but I compare it to a big film that people have been waiting to go see. All of a sudden, it's like opening weekend. Boom. Let's go see it. And it sells. And boom, you get all the tickets. You got Kamala raising tons of money right away. And all of a sudden, things start coming out that I'll talk about. Some skeletons in her closet. The Trump campaign don't think they're not planning their retaliation. She's already gone at him. And all of a sudden, that excitement starts to fade when reality hits. It's just, I don't think the approval rating alone, she's
so that I
abysmal.
Wonder, and you'll probably know more names than me. What's going to be the best VP candidate to help her go up against the
I don't know, honestly. I don't know enough. I mean, I don't know enough of the Democrats, and I admit that. Gavin Newsom is not really a VP guy. A lot of people think he's going to be down the road kind of guy. I think he's a joke. California's.
What about our guy?
Buttigieg?
Yeah.
He was one of the options, but there was somebody else that they mentioned that may be it. And I think they're going for somebody that's not a white male. Buttigieg, I guess being gay would probably... And they're really playing on this platform of let's not have the white straight male. And I think it's going to backfire because the majority of this country is white and straight. And they're playing on this whole women are going to vote for a woman. Well, no, I've seen plenty of women and heard plenty of women are like, hell no, she sucks.
Well, it didn't work for Hillary, right? I mean, you can't just hope just because she's a woman, let's go vote for her just because she's a woman. That's not right. But
no, here's the deal. She's known as being the big thing I have an issue with is that you know how much I love the far left, the woke, the progressive stances. She's known for being that. Abolishing ICE, which is the border people. Is that a better way to say it? Is there a better way to say it? You know more about border than I do.
No, I guess that administration.
Here, we're very detailed on the show. Abolishing fracking, which is digging for natural resources for energy.
Doesn't that cause?
That's an argument.
Earthquakes and stuff like that.
No, that's bull. That's. I won't get into that. Again, people are going to say Ryan's just being whatever. We won't talk about that. The bottom line is one side wants to use natural energy that we have right in our ground, and the other group wants to use fucking the sun, which if it's a cloudy day, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Or let's use electric cars and then put a generator right there, which uses more. Anyway, she wants to defund the police, and she wants to give free health care to illegal immigrants.
Wait a minute. She wants to defund the police?
Sure.
Why?
Because of all the reasons the liberals have wanted to defund the police. Because of all these shootings. Because of all these criminals that have gone at police, and the police are defending themselves.
Wow.
How dare they? And there may be some bad cops out there, and I've never doubted that, but 99%, over 99%, I guarantee are great people who are risking their lives every day. And I don't know about you, but here on this show, from my desk, I support the blue.
Well, yeah. And I guess the last part, and we kind of glossed over it, is the free healthcare for illegal immigrants. How does that make sense? I don't get that.
If somebody needs medical attention, they're not going to be left to die or left to whatever. They're going to be taken care of. But we don't have any way to charge them. They have no money. They have no money.
Yeah.
So that's the far left. That's the idea. That's the ideology. And so I don't like that. That's me personally. Some of you listening may disagree. So, this is where I'm not going to give you everything. But there are 7 claims when she was the California Attorney General, aka prosecutor, that people are claiming are shady. Everyone's like, well, we have a prosecutor against the felon. It's the stupidest. If you want to call Donald a felon for weird forged payments to an attorney, sure.
Well, they gotta hype it up somehow.
Go ahead. 34 counts of the same thing, just different pay. Sure, fine. But Kamala Harris, as a prosecutor, has some skeletons, and they're all going to come out of that closet really soon. But 7 of them are being reported by an organization to actually be looked at by the courts.
What organization?
Oh, you knew you were going to fucking ask me that.
Sorry about that.
No, I admit to you that I didn't write that down.
We'll come back.
It was very detailed, and so us, I didn't.
You didn't write that part down.
I read it all, but I just wrote down the main points. So one is failure to comply with federal law, donor privacy. So basically money that was given to the state of California for donations to California causes was pocketed on the ones she didn't agree with.
Is that allegedly?
That's allegedly. Okay. This is all allegedly. Look, I'm just telling you. But to have a list like this, failure to enforce illegal immigration laws. So there was an illegal immigrant that was in prison. You might have heard this story, that she wanted a sex change, and she used tax dollars to give him the sex change while in prison, because otherwise it would be cruel and unusual punishment to make him live out his life as what he didn't want to be.
Wow, that's super weird.
It's very strange, and I didn't know that one, and when I read it, I was like, okay. So I'm going to wait and see what they come up with. But I'm just giving you what they're saying. What the people that are against Kamala are saying, and that's probably going to come out. Don't think the Trump camp isn't looking at all this shit.
Right.
3, failure to pursue equal justice under law. So basically she fought the death penalty even when California law called for it based on what the person had done. So she's basically saying, screw the law. And you in a sense be on her side with her opinion, but she's not following the law. That's the problem. She didn't want to put somebody to death that, like, and I think it was, what do you call it, the gang? We won't give the name for fear of our own lives. But a gang that comes across the border, they killed like a whole family or 2 families or something, and it was in the law that you go to death row on that, and she fought it. It's like she was fighting for this person instead of prosecuting him. It was very strange. So, 4, failure to disclose conflicts of interest. This is where it gets. This is where you are going to relate here, Trey. This is where she was accused of. Do you know this a rumor and accusation about her? How she worked her way up? She's known for blowing her way to the top.
Are you serious?
Yep. She is known for, she dated a assembly speaker, Willie Brown, and then landed subsequently very, very powerful legal jobs right at that point. And there's been rumors about other issues. And so there's all sorts of memes about her on her knees, and she's knee pad Kamala and all these things.
See, I mean, unless he came out and said she wasn't qualified, whatever the case may be. It's just hard to sit there and just throw that out there if she was just dating somebody that was high
True,
level.
but all of a sudden she gets like high positions she's not qualified for?
That's more on him, I would say.
Okay.
I would be more pissed off at him
fair enough.
for doing that. But
fair enough. All I'm saying is there are rumors of her giving fellatio a lot to work her way up. And I don't know where it came from exactly. And again, this is the first one I kind of saw where I saw some detail.
Yeah.
But that's all I hear. And, women get upset. Well, women are going to be upset that you're playing that card. Well, I'm like, well, a lot of women probably are going to be embarrassed by her behavior if that's true. We don't know if it's true. I think there's some funny memes out there, and I'll leave it at that.
Gotcha.
Number 5. There's only 7, by the way, people. Calm down. Failure to address evidence of misconduct. So basically, she was ignoring clear evidence that was inside of jails that was supposed to let people out on parole or out on good behavior or all these things. And she was ignoring that evidence, and she was leaving people locked up, mostly for like basic marijuana charges.
This is weird. Like, so she fights a death sentence for a murder.
Right.
She fights for a transition, a sex change.
Right.
And then she fights to leave somebody in prison over bullshit charges?
Right. What they're saying is that she fought to leave them in prison so that she could have labor work done by prisoners, which they do. You take them out.
Oh.
So there's a whole big thing about it. I mean, I'm telling you, there's some crazy shit about this woman.
Why is this only coming out now? Why did it not come out during the vice
No,
president?
people have always talked about it. It's just like, who cares? But now all of a sudden, she becomes the one. Trump, people still feel like he really won in 2020, and now he was shot, and all these things. People are getting a little feisty.
Gotcha.
And now she's without one single vote, the candidate. Okay, well, let's dig in a little bit.
Gotcha.
Let's go deeper. No pun intended. 6, nature of prose by a California Fair Practices Commission. Basically, she's apparently receiving gifts illegally from certain organizations that she's not supposed to. It's basic.
That's most politicians, right?
Most politicians. 7, failure to address, in other words, cover up of misconduct. So apparently she falsified this is the big one to me. She falsified a transcript of a defendant confession.
Oh, that's pretty.
Because she was prosecuting. So she falsified it and almost put him on death row.
Holy shit.
And she ended up being forced to give the evidence and to change it and he ended up not being, but
damn.
It's not being made up. These have all been there. These are all things I looked at that were in history, in the past. It wasn't just all of a sudden people making this up. These were articles. These were things from years ago.
That's some pretty
big stuff.
Crazy allegations. Yeah.
So that was the thing. Ignored the evidence, and then the marijuana charges. She was putting people away for marijuana charges for like years, and then they asked her in an interview, "You put them away?" She's like, "Yeah, it's illegal, whatever." And they say, well, have you ever smoked marijuana? And she just cackled, her giggle. And she didn't answer the question. So it's not a good look. So again, people will say Ryan from Stay in the Great podcast is bashing Kamala. I'm just giving you the new candidate. We all know Trump's deal. We've talked plenty about Trump's deal. He's got issues. We talked about he's a felon. We talked about him. But Kamala is now the Democratic candidate, so we're going to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
The last thing I'll mention, there's a psychic, Trey, named
Incredible.
Craig Hamilton. Well, this guy, he's 69, and he uses Nadi astrology, Hindu mystics. So I guess it's a Hindu something. People have probably heard of him, some people, and apparently he predicted years before, he predicted COVID-19, Brexit, the first Trump election, before Trump even said he was running. Like back like The Simpsons. Remember The Simpsons did an episode like in 90 or something, said Trump said he was going to run. He predicted it. And he also 2 days before predicted that his life was going to be tried to be taken.
No shit.
Yeah. And so
So he was the one that set up the shooter.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't admit that. I'd be like, you're like suspect number one. I didn't. I mean, I didn't know that, but he predicted also a civil war if Trump had been killed.
Yeah, I could see that.
You thought that.
Yeah.
You brought that up. He predicts Trump now to win in a landslide because of that and because of Kamala. I mean, she's kind of a joke. He predicted Biden would step aside like a month before he actually did.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have probably made that prediction.
Yeah.
He predicts that Gavin Newsom, who we talked about, governor of California, and Elizabeth Warren will team up in some way down the road to kind of lead the Democrats. And lastly, he predicts he predicted that a woman of color would help Trump. He thought it might be VP, but now he's saying that Vance's wife, who is Hindu and dark-skinned or tan, that maybe that's what he was seeing. So he's kind of moving around a little bit on there. I just think it's interesting that this guy nailed so many things, and he's saying it's going to be a landslide. I happen to agree.
Now, I've been seeing numbers that's pretty close, but I don't know how many different polls are out there and all kinds of bullshit like that. But anyway.
I love the people that are like, a new poll shows, and they give no poll, like any source.
Sounds like what we do.
I've seen them both. I mean, I've seen official ones. I've seen people just making stuff up. Sometimes I'll respond and I'll be like, look, Trump's up by 47%. Look, my poll is it's a poll. Got it from somewhere.
Well, what about this guy, old JD Vance?
I wish I knew more about JD Vance. I think it's kind of like a Trump Jr. And I think he picked him because of that.
I don't know. He sounds pretty far out there. Like I heard some interviews initially. It kind of impressed me. I was like, okay. But now there's stories coming out that he doesn't even want the states to have the authority to decide whether or not they want to do abortions. He said,
really?
Apparently,
I did not hear
he's
that.
like, states shouldn't have that authority. He goes, and I'm not sure how accurate the quote is, but I'll throw it out there. He made reference to, for instance, if you're in Ohio and it's illegal, all these black women will just jump on a plane and go to California and get an abortion, and everybody will be praised at blah, 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 blah. So I was like, oh, that was a little...
Yeah.
And he's also, I guess he made reference to Kamala being a cat lady, as a childless cat lady or something to that effect, claiming about her not having kids or whatever.
Right.
And so I guess there was another statement somewhere. I need to do some more research on that, as far as saying that people that don't have kids shouldn't have a say-so in anything. I guess that was Buttigieg or whatever.
Yeah.
Buttigieg, who now has, I guess, 2 kids with his husband. But anyway, so I was like, that's interesting.
I heard that, and I also saw the whole speech, and the speech that's on the Kamala campaign commercial was cut very, very, very short.
Was this part of that?
Like most, and I'm not saying that the other side, Donald's side's not going to do that to her too. But he made sure and said, hey, I have a lot of friends that can't have kids, that aren't able, that have tried, that for whatever reason have chosen not to, or for all these things. This is meant with all due respect. But a lot of the decisions that are being made about society, about our country, about border security, about this and that, are parents that have children, and they have a different mindset. And so their opinions are different. And I don't know if I agree with the way that he said it. I'm not sitting here defending the guy because, again, I didn't hear everything. I don't agree if he's saying he doesn't want to give it, if he wants a federal abortion law. I don't agree with that. And I'm leaning right, people. So there you go. Fuck anybody that tells me that I'm not willing to be open-minded, because I don't agree with it. The reason I defend Donald on it is because he wants the states to have the rights. He wants to localize government, which is the opposite of fascism, which is why it makes me so angry when people say he's fascist. They don't want a strong federal government. They want it to be spread out through the states and even into the cities. Boom.
But on my on my side of it, obviously I don't have kids, but I have nieces, I have nephews. I care about your children, So it's like, just because I don't have kids myself doesn't mean I don't have kids that in my life that I give a shit about, So I guess him saying that, if that's how he put it, I just understand his idea behind it, because I have kids in my life that I give a shit about too. So
I think that's why he prefaced it with like, look, I understand that there are reasons not to have kids. Some people don't. It wasn't the like, if you don't have kids, fuck you. It was more of a, if you do have kids, then you don't have the same emotions about certain issues, maybe. And you can disagree.
Well, and I've even heard, I like that. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was nice for a podcast. Oh. At least we have video to...
I've heard some interesting points or takes or opinions out there saying that Trump is going to change his mind at some point.
Oh, about the VP?
Yeah. Is that possible?
Sure.
He can do that?
I still think he should have gone with Tulsi Gabbard. That's my girl. If I wasn't married, might be making a play for Miss Gabbard.
Yes, because that's the only thing keeping you away from her.
No, yeah. Otherwise, I'd have her in the bag. No, she's and I joke about that. She is an attractive woman, but she's very, very intelligent. And she was a Democrat that I listened to, that I was able to get on board with, that I was able to. She made me want to listen, even on things that I didn't totally agree with. I mean, and that's hard to do these days. My God, these days. And somehow I wanted to sit there and go, all right, well, I don't always agree with that, but the way she puts it, okay, I see her point.
And she's Republican?
She was a Democrat, and she left it because they've gone insane. That's my wording, but it's almost her wording. She's like, I can't align with this anymore, and she left. And so now people are going, well, maybe she would have been a great pick because she's a former Democrat. She could say they're crazy. I came over here and maybe bring some of those Democrats that aren't quite happy with their own party over this way. Anyway, I liked her as the pick. I think I don't know, Vance seems pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? He seems very...
Douchey?
Douchey,
Sorry.
That was your word.
That was my word.
He's extreme.
There you go. That's a good word.
On the right, and I don't like extremism on either side.
Right.
So I don't dislike the guy. I haven't heard enough from him. I think he's a good family man, which I appreciate. I think he's got some good ideas. Abortion, that's a whole... It seems like that's where everybody kind of crosses back and forth. But when it comes to border, when it comes to all these things, he wants to do what Trump wants to do, and I'm with him on that. So we'll see. This whole thing's... People... Liv said it on our last show. America's being laughed at because we're just so fucked up. It should be easier than this.
Right.
Anyway, so that's JD. We'll keep an eye on JD. I mean, I like that you brought it up because we need to... Look, Kamala became the candidate. Who knows? Something happens to Trump. JD may end up being the guy. Yeah, and so you got to think about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is like 2 seconds. I am utterly pissed and I'm fuming about the fact that these protests continue to go on in our cities. Now it's in our Capitol building. The Hamas... I'm calling them the Hamas protesters. Palestinian flags, but Hamas is in charge of Palestine by election, by the way. So that's valid. Did you like that? And so they pulled down the American flag, put up the Palestinian flag at our Capitol building, and burned the American flag. And the cops, although they defended themselves when they were starting to be attacked, didn't stop this. This is not a peaceful protest. This is a riot, and this is something happening in the United States of America. This has nothing to do with us. Go to fucking Gaza, and go over to, you know what? Go to Israel and see what happens when you protest over there.
Right.
You're mad at the U.S. because you think they support Israel. Go to Israel. I was so fired up when I watched this. I wanted to give a mention, and I don't have anything else to say about it. I'm that pissed. Do you have anything to say about it?
No, that's wild. I can't imagine how anybody could let that happen.
Well, a guy ran in there and grabbed half the American flag and tried to run away with it to save it, but it was already burned. But that's it. Fuck you and get out. This is our country. Get out. And you know what's sad, Trey, is I saw a bunch of like white women and virtue signaling bullshit. Stop it, okay? Hamas is a terrorist organization. We don't support terrorists in this country. They've done a lot of damage. If you disagree with the way Israel's behaved, let's talk about it.
Right.
Peacefully protesting is standing there and protesting. This is not peacefully protesting.
Because setting shit on fire, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, what if a kid decided to get away from his parent, ran straight into it because it's fire, you know? It's bright lights, whatever the fuck they're doing. Kids are stupid, you know? They run in and get burned. So that's not peaceful. So it's like, that's just...
Well, no, I mean, that's a whole different approach. I'm just mad they desecrated our flag. This is our flag.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah.
Get out.
Like you said, go to Israel.
Get out.
Yeah.
And all the Americans that support this, get out.
Yeah.
Because you're not American.
That's wild.
And I'll say it. All right. We'll do one more topic here before we wrap up tonight.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Well, I know Trey's suffering over there, so I apologize. But this is actually something that Trey brought up that he read, and I was fascinated by it. And I'm going to make you read it through your nasal issues.
All right.
And I think you sound kind of cool, though, with that like nasal thing going on, with that sexy...
All right, shut up. So I saw this on TikTok, and I thought it was kind of interesting. A black woman starts off by asking, what does it feel like to be white?
Oh.
I was like, okay. Open-ended question. So this gentleman, Jeremy, on TikTok, I thought it was some interesting responses. And...
I'll save you from talking. Black woman says, "What is it like to be white?" And I can just see somebody saying this like with this attitude. And this guy, was he being serious or was he being sarcastic?
He's very, very serious.
Being serious.
And I was okay. So I'll read through them. And so
he was the serious responses. Okay.
So he said, "Imagine being a race that you're not allowed to be proud of."
Very true.
I mean, you can't go out and say, "Thank God I'm white."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Or white pride.
Right. So
we don't have a flag or a fucking song or any of that.
So bullshit. I mean, that's interesting. I was like, okay. He said, try being a race where you're blamed for things that you were not even a part of.
True. Yeah. Did you own a slave?
I did not.
Me neither. I don't know.
My grandparents didn't even own slaves.
I don't think. I can't remember any of my family owning slaves. So,
he said, then not to mention, you bring up they've got Black History Month, they've got Juneteenth, they've got Pride Month.
Sure.
There's no White Month. That's a no-go.
No.
We can't have that.
Or a day. Can you imagine? Even an hour. What if we said this hour? Let's just give white people.
Yeah.
Good job.
So we can't do that. Of course, he brought up the whole BET. You have a network.
Yep.
You know, having a white channel or a white network is a no-go. And this was kind of interesting. He said, if we speak up on racism, we could actually be hated by our own people.
Yeah. That's what I was just saying. The white woke.
Not to mention
hate white people.
Obviously, other races. So even if we stand up against racism, we're going to get hated for it. So I thought it was interesting. And when I read through the comments, I was like, man, this guy's going to get blasted, right? No, there was actually quite a few people, black, white, Hispanic, just like, wow, I never really thought about it that way. That's
encouraging to hear. Because I think that's the way you need to look at it.
Right.
I think that you know, we say it, and then of course we get all the YouTube comments. You know, just two Brads and Chad. What do they go, Brad Chad, white boys, and it's easier for you guys. Look, fine, I get it. We walk out our front door, but that's not our fault. Our ancestors did some great things. They did some bad things.
Yeah.
But they did great things when it came to developing and establishing innovation, things like that we should be proud of. The cell phone in your hand, the things these things, well, I don't know if that's the Japanese. Anyway, but the Chinese or whatever. But there are a lot of things, the telephone in general, electricity, some of these things that white Europeans established. How about way to go.
Yeah.
Way to go, guys.
Good job.
The slavery thing was fucked up.
Yeah.
But, you know, you did some good things.
Right.
And that's my problem with it is this, like, I'm a white, straight male. And so if I try and talk about an issue, I'm basically told to shut the fuck up.
Right.
And that makes me angry. Even on the abortion issue. We talked about it.
Yeah.
I've heard, how many times I hear, you have a penis, you don't have an opinion. Okay, see what happens when you alienate half of the world.
At least, yeah.
See what happens. We're going to be like, okay, great. I mean, the opposite side of it, I've read stuff before, and it's, people don't realize that aren't white what privileges they actually are getting. They're getting the school, affirmative action, these types of things, housing and funds and all sorts of things. And then, you get BET, which you just said, they get their own television channel. They get these things. And I mean, I don't care. Great. Good for you. BET, fantastic. But why? If I'm flipping through and I see BET and it's got a show I like, I'll flip on there.
Yeah.
But why? But if we had WT, holy shit.
Yeah. It never would fly.
What would WT be? Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Friends?
Friends.
Friends and Seinfeld, just the whole thing, just back to back.
Right.
And then All the Family. You made that joke before, but
Simpsons.
The Simpsons. But it's just like, just get off our backs a little bit. If you want to make changes, you have to have us listen to you, or want to listen to you.
Right.
And I don't want to listen if you're constantly berating me.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Very much.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Let's end tonight on one of my
Thank God.
Stupid fucking quotes. Yeah, Trey's about this. So let's talk about abortion. I know that we do need to have another topic about talk about abortion, because man, that's one of the biggest issues in this election.
Yeah.
That economy, taxes, things like that. This is basic, but I'm going to end the show on it.
Okay.
I'm going to delay so that you.
Oh, God.
All right. A word of encouragement during failure.
Oh, that was something else. But go ahead.
During. Trey, you're always thinking about pumping.
Yeah.
Even when you're sick, man, you're thinking about pumping that. Okay. A word of. God damn it. It ruined my whole quote. A word of encouragement during failure, which could.
Yeah, it could be.
Word of encouragement during failure is worth more than a whole book of praises after success.
That's huge. I like it.
I agree. Don't you?
I do.
All
I
right.
like it.
See you next time. Love you guys.
Later.
No bias here, just the facts and the fair. We look at both sides, do our best to compare. In this podcast realm where we compromise, balance is key and the facts don't lie. Stay in the great where perspectives intertwine. We seek the truth in the gray we define. In this podcast journey, minds open wide. Shades the truth on this impartial ride.
Do you think these sharks are doing lines of coke underwater off of like dolphin bellies and stuff like that?
It's a party.
Yeah.
I would do anything. Maybe there should be an X-rated like Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
That comes out where they're
Exactly.
just fucked up and everyone's getting laid.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well,
I'd watch that.
should we talk so you can snort into the
No.
into the mic a few
Please,
more
God,
minutes?
no.
Yeah. All right. Love you.
Later.